And what we're going to talk about, if you're stuck in a leasehold trap, you're going to want to air your views, I guarantee you. 4 of the UK's largest house builders are now being investigated after troubling evidence was uncovered over the way leaseholds were sold. Oh, my God. Hold on a second. Troubling evidence was uncovered. The people have been talking about this for years. It's so ridiculous. Everyone knows that these guys have been ripping. Barratt Developments, Countryside Properties, Persimmon Homes and Taylor Wimpey, if they're not ripping off, the people who they sold the leaseholds to were then ripping off some customers who bought their houses or their properties, whatever they are, flats. They bought, you buy it. If you don't buy freehold, you don't own the land underneath you, which means you've got to pay something. Now, if you've got to pay something, it can go up, sometimes exponentially. And it's just been a complete and utter scam, and it's now being investigated. Mark Hayward is chief exec of NEA Propertymark. Hello, Mark. Morning.
Good morning.
I don't know whether, I've got very strong opinions on this. People have been getting ripped for a while. It's got to stop. Am I right?
Absolutely. We have people literally trapped in leasehold homes that they can't sell. Lenders turn a blind eye to applications, and they are... the research that we did, and we interviewed over 1,000 people who bought leasehold homes, 57% didn't even understand what a leasehold was.
Oh, okay, that's right.
78% dealt direct with the developer. There was no agent. 48% weren't aware of the escalating ground rent, which you just talked about. And, 94% regret even buying a leasehold property. And when you look at 50% of those buyers were first-time buyers, and they're a vulnerable group, they wouldn't have known probably.
That's right.
Any better. It's an absolute travesty.
Well, Mark, where are the solicitors on this during the conveyancing process? I mean, who the hell lets somebody buy a property without giving fair warning that they're in a significant situation? The advice here, I'm sure they'll all be covered, they're covering their backside.
Interestingly, 65% of purchasers use the solicitor that the developer house builder recommended.
People are so naive. This is what they need to be taught in school. Everybody needs, some financial acumen. And I put this under, if I was running a course in school, but this would be a GCSE, some area of study. People get ripped if they don't know what's going on, and they don't know what's going on with this.
Well, you buy a house with your heart, not your head, and you get swept away with it, and you look at the show houses. But once you're in, then you find out that possibly the freehold's already been sold off to an investor, and by virtue of the fact they're an investor, they want a return. So these ground rents escalate. And then the other thing that people are not aware of is the charges that the freeholder will make if you want to make any alterations to your property. I mean, we've got instances. If you want to change your front door, it's going to cost you £411 to get consent. If you want to change the blinds in your kitchen, £527 to get consent. Yes, I mean, this is
a national scandal. We've got to stay all over this on LBC. This is absolutely disgraceful.
Well, I think, the Competition and Markets Authority have looked very carefully at it, and I think it's probably gloves off now.
Andrea Coscelli is chief executive of the CMA, the Competition and Markets Authority. Is that a boy or a girl, Andrea Coscelli? I don't know. Andrea can be both. I know an Andrea, a bloke. But listen, is this got some teeth? The Competition and Markets Authority, are they really going after this, or is it just lip service?
They really have teeth.
Right. Okay, that's good.
And some of the fines that they've levied in the past run into tens, if not hundreds of millions.
You mentioned mortgage lenders won't lend on these properties now because they don't like the look and feel of this, and I completely understand that. Let me ask you briefly, and you haven't been asked about this when you were booked for this, so if you don't want to answer it, then absolutely fine. But there's another scandal going on with property right now, and that's around cladding. Not only what's deemed dangerous and what isn't, people are very confused by that, but certificates are not being issued at the moment, and millions of, at least thousands of properties have been rendered worthless because people can't sell them because they've got cladding on which surveyors are not prepared to certify. Am I right on that?
You are correct. At the moment, there is legislation going through to deal with cladding, but I know not only in England but in Scotland, for instance, where they've got a lot of high-rise blocks with cladding, that surveyors will not, as you say, give a certificate, or possibly on more than one or two in a block, because they've got an eye to their professional indemnity insurance.
Yeah, so people are there not sure, A, whether it's dangerous, or B, whether they can ever sell this major asset. So they're absolutely stuck. It's called an EWS1 form, I think.
I think it is, yes.
Yeah.
It's something that, they've been looking at since the Grenfell disaster, but that was years ago. But it does need to be sorted and sorted quickly.
It's a pleasure to speak with you on these property matters. Thank you. Mark Hayward, Chief Executive of the of NEA Propertymark. That is 2 property scandals. One is being dealt with. The other, about cladding in this country, is not being dealt with. Not only are people in, not just high-rises, but any building, flats most likely, not sure whether they're in grave danger, they and their families, or not. But they are now, and imagine the worry and the tension around this, they are now not sure, because surveyors will not issue this particular form. They're not sure whether they're ever going to be able to sell these things ever again. All of this is about Backlog Britain. Get on with it. This is what COVID has done. All of this is a backlog. Action is required. 8:47 is the time. This is LBC, and Holly Jones has the news.